Yo, 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 back with another episode of the Black Superheroes MatterPodcast. Again, I'm your host, Stephen Christian, and today we have Stephen Harris, and this dude is a OG by any means necessary. If you love Deadpool, if you love a lot of the different creative works that we all sort of grown to love, he probably had a part in it. And with it, we had just a great conversation about just exploring Blackness and learning about creativity and how that can enhance our connections and communications with each other. And so without further ado, again, we had a great conversation, and go ahead, check it out. I wanted to take a break from the episode to let you know that we have some merch that is available. Over at Iltopia Studios, you can find the Black Superheroes Matter art book, which is a collection of illustrations that reimagine your favorite superheroes through the eyes of children of color. We also have a bunch of sticker packs, over 120 different sticker designs of your favorite superheroes. More importantly, we have our Color Me Super coloring book series. Definitely check out the merch at shop.iltopia.com or blacksuperheroesmatter.com. And now back to the episode. So I got Stephen Harris here, here to just talk to us about a lot of the stuff that he's doing right now, specifically during COVID, and now that conventions and stuff are shut down for the most part.
Yeah.
How's it going? How's everything been with you?
I am okay. I'm doing good. I am, fortunately, more busy than I have been in a long time.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've been busy for a couple of years straight now. It's like there was no let up. There was no, matter of fact, it intensified this year, just before COVID.
Oh, wow. Like, how so?
Yeah.
Is it just because of the work that you're doing, or you sort of found a little niche in?
No, it just people more. One thing of the project I've been working on with somebody since 2019. Other thing was some people I was working with. Well, they wanted to work with me going back to 2018, but it finally materialized. And there's a couple of things that happened along the way.
Nice.
So, and towards the end of 2020, I was having to stack jobs so I wouldn't get in trouble with deadlines. So
yeah.
I always let people know up front. Listen, okay, I can do it, but it'll probably be around this time because I'm doing something right now that won't end until that time.
Okay. And so what does that cover? Like, what does that entail? Is it just design work, illustration work?
It's all comic book, graphic novel, and some commissions here and there for maybe a pinup or a cover. So that's what it's been, and it's ranged from action adventure with martial arts to historical, to even I'm working on something now for DC Comics, which is a moment which is autobiographical.
Interesting. Autobiographical from DC Comics.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're doing something called. I don't know if you heard. Remember when the man that was formerly a Marvel editor that was in the park with the bird watching.
Oh yeah.
And the woman.
Wait, he was a Marvel editor?
Yeah, it was. He was a Marvel editor back in the early 2000s and late 90s.
Oh, interesting. I definitely didn't.
And so he a friend of mine illustrated the story. So DC's doing a thing called Represent. Is a digital imprint of stories of people, primarily is either people of color or primarily Black people that may reflect on something that happened in their life. It could be a range of anything. So I'm doing something now that that happened in my life, and so we'll see. We'll see. I'm doing it right. I'm almost finished with it, but it's due out in May. But I want to show some pages, but I can't show pages not right now. But I could talk about the Represent thing because it's already been out already. It was in New York Times. But it's up to chapter 8 or not. Chapter 6 or 7 right now.
Okay.
And I think they have. I haven't looked at the site where it publishes, but I think there's multiple stories in one book. I think I'm not sure, but each story is 10 pages long.
Okay. So like something nice,
You know.
nice, short and sweet. Bite size.
Yeah.
Little taste of something. I
Yeah.
like it. I
Yeah.
like it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so before we dive deep into that, let's dive a little bit deeper into just like who you are. So what do you do as a creator?
Oh, I draw. I am a penciler. I sometimes write. Matter of fact, this will be my writing. This will be my DC writing debut. I've written before, but this might be my DC writing debut because I wrote the story. But yeah, primarily I draw. I pencil. I plot sometimes, but that's mainly what I do. I'm an illustrator, penciler, and I make color digitally sometimes. But that's usually it's only my stuff though. I color.
Okay. So
'Cause I'm not really fast.
Okay. So you do mostly penciling. So do you do any inking for like any of the like the client work and stuff that you do?
I've done a couple things for commissions. I've made a couple of commissions, maybe with a brush pen and some maybe croquilles, but or a brush. But primarily, I ink in Photoshop. I darken the lines, clean the pages up, add blacks to the areas and tones. That's what I primarily do.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. That sounds like it always sounds like because in the digital age, like you become sort of a jack of all trades because you have access to all the tools.
Yeah. And when I do that, I may have to make sure my pencil lines are pretty tight and clean and dark. Well, tight and clean. But there's always some cleanup in Photoshop to do because I use blue line, or a red line pencil, and sometimes some of that gets caught up in there, and I gotta erase some of that or white out, erase some of that in Photoshop just to keep the pages clean.
Okay. And so with it, so you pencil traditionally?
Mm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. So that
Yeah.
is it at what scale though? So like when somebody says like they pencil, typically the misconception is that like you're penciling the size that it goes to print in, and so are you?
No, I pencil larger than that.
Okay, so is it what like 11 by 17 or
11 by 17. Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so you
Yeah. So I think I have something I can show you. Yeah, I'll show you a Michael Cray page. Hold on a second.
okay?
So this is the size.
Nice. Okay, yeah, look at that.
Let me get my earphones back on.
Yeah, look at that.
Okay, yeah, it's the size. I get that glare out there. Yeah,
Nice. And so this is all done. This is literally handmade. No.
Yeah. It's funny. That's almost a throwback now, right?
Yeah, And so how? So if do you do? So pretty much like all of the work that you put out is done by hand if you pencil it, and then you sort of scan it into Photoshop and.
Yeah, I haven't. I haven't I haven't gotten a tablet or a Cintiq yet. I want to, but I've had a used one before, but it didn't work out because I had it for a while. I couldn't plug it in, and then I had to end up giving it back, and so it didn't work out with me. So I want to. I mean, at some point, I do want to get a tablet of some sort to work with.
Yeah, I mean it's. I just got a new Cintiq, the new like 24-inch, and
wow,
it's nice. It's. I would say that like because I don't live in a spacious place, not having to have all the like, the piles and boxes of previous work is nice. It's just on a computer, and so But then there's always that like feeling that you get where you just like want to have something just like in hand.
Yeah, I hear you.
So it's there's its pros and cons, right? You have to deal with sort of
it would have came in handy for another job I had that was in December. It was pretty much a storyboard job, but it was storyboards, but it's still what they still wanted the work completed. So it wasn't like storyboards are kind of can be sketchy and loose.
Yeah.
But they want they want these images tight. But it would have been nice to have a tablet to work these images, because it was just the storyboards accumulate over the course of the job, and so it would have been nice to have that tablet just to have all that work and stored in one spot. And it was a thing where I had to do the work in layers too. I had to pencil it in layers, so I had to do the foreground, the middle ground, the background, all separate. So it could have been it was going to be at least 2 drawings per frame, and it could have been up to 3 or 4.
Yeah.
With the different layers. There were soccer players, so there was a foreground, maybe a couple middle grounds, and the background, which would be the stadium or a locker room. So yeah,
that's because I do a lot of animation work, and so I storyboarded out a whole scene, and to that point, like I would be like, okay, I'm gonna have this scene. There's gonna be multiple things happening, so I have the same background, and I just swap out the foreground and the midground.
Yeah,
and it before I knew it, I had like 150 layers in this Photoshop file. And so I was just like, man, I know if I've tried to do like storyboarding on paper, and it just doesn't replay. Like, it's just really hard for me to do that. And so I found that like for storyboarding, digital just works better for me. But when I'm doing comics, like actual like narrative storytelling, like working on paper is it's really hard to replace working on paper. Like I found that like interesting balance, and so I, instead of having to draw it at like full size, I'll just do all my sketches in just like a steno book, and then I could just scan that in once I feel comfortable with the way the compositions are. So it's just I think it's just one of those things you just got to just keep playing with, and you're
probably
I think the process will change as you depending on the project. I think it's just so project dependent, but if you got something that works, hey, don't break it.
yeah, because something that works is key, because time is money.
Yeah,
time is a factor. So you could waste. I won't say waste, but you could spend a lot of time figuring something out.
Yeah.
And that could cost you money if you're doing the on-the-job training.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you only got a limited budget, before you know it, you're gonna be working for $3 an hour, and that
exactly
not what you want.
Yeah, nah,
yeah,
not at all.
But like you're a traditional penciler, so like how did you get started in this?
Oh, way back in the 80s. It goes back that far. I mean, my first professional job was 1991.
Okay,
but I went to school of visual arts. In my 3rd year, I was an illustration major. I didn't want to be a cartooning major. I went in wanting to do comics, but when I got in, I didn't like what was coming out of the comic book department or what was happening there. It didn't seem too developed, or it wasn't putting out people that were developed to me. So some upperclassmen recommended that I just be an illustration major and take comic book classes. And then ironically, when I graduated, the next semester after I graduated, professionals that I knew became teachers there. I'm like, oh, now you guys come. Like Klaus Janson, Walt Simonson, Carmine Infantino, maybe a few others, maybe. I think Joe Orlando was one of them. I'm not, or Jerry Ordway, one of the two. But these were like big time comic book heads back in the 70s and 80s, and into the 90s. Walt Simon's still a big deal, but yeah, they came in afterwards. But in my 3rd year, I met someone, a fellow classmate who was a couple years younger than me, had introduced me to an illustrator named Michael Davis, who was one of the co-founders of Milestone Media. And he was running a class up in Harlem where I had moved to. I'm originally from Jersey. I moved to Harlem in '89. I met Michael Davis in '89 at this place called the Children's Art Carnival, where he was teaching free classes. It was an art program or art community center that had visual arts there. They had filming, photography, and cartooning, and some other art too, and other visual arts. And he had a comic book class where they met on Friday and Saturdays. And so I started going to that class. And that same day, his best friend Dennis Cowan, the other founder of Milestone Media, in the future, he was there and he saw my work and wanted me to become his assistant at some point. So like maybe after a few months after I was taking the class, I became Dennis Cowan's assistant. So I was his assistant for about a year or two before I started Milestone, and that's what got me in. I got my first job while being Dennis Cowan's assistant, and I got more work after that. Doing the hustle, sending my stuff out to different comic book companies. I got some work from Dark Horse. I was like the first artist on this comic book called X, one of Dark Horse's first superhero characters.
Okay.
And that followed with DC before that I did a DC 10-page story with the two characters Fire and Ice, and I did like a year before, but they came out around the same time. And then I jumped. And then I was working at Motown, like the Motown, because Michael Davis left Milestone and started a comic book company or animation company at Motown that would do comics as well. It was Motown Machine Works. And I did a comic book called The Crush there. They had like 4 or 5. They had like 5 titles there.
So like Motown, right?
The Motown. Yeah,
had come. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
They published comics for about a good 2 years.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, I don't remember anything hitting the airwaves at all.
Yeah, it was in 90. I was in 95,
okay.
94 to 96. But I was there from 95 doing a comic book called The Crush.
Okay. Yeah, I might need to hop on eBay or something and try to find something of that.
Yeah. My book was The Crush. There was a book called Man Against Time. There was a book called Casual Heroes. Another book called Trouble Man. And there are a few titles.
Okay. Interesting. And then you just sort of been, just bouncing around from like one project to the next?
After that, I jumped on DC Comics, a book called Aztec, the Ultimate Man. That was I co-created that with Grant Morrison and Mark Miller.
Okay.
Yeah, Kick-Ass Mark Miller. Mark Miller did Kick-Ass, and that has his what's his studio now? I forgot his company now. What it's called, but Miller World. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I did that for DC Comics for about a year. I did Deadpool annual 98. When that book was later, that book was used as a template for the first Deadpool movie because that was his origin story. Yeah. And I got some money for that. It was almost 15 years later, but I got some money for that. Nice. But I didn't expect it. I said, hey, they gave me a check. Nice. So nice. I did the book in 98. I get a check in like 2015. But it came at a good time, though. It came at a good time. So
did they give you any? So like, did you get any credits in the movie for it?
I don't think so. I'll probably look at the credits because I didn't expect it. I got it after the movie came out.
Yeah.
And the person who let me know that was a guy who I knew when I was at the studio in Manhattan. He was the editor on Harris Comics doing the Vampirella stuff.
Okay. And
he later on moved to Marvel. Hey Steve, we owe you a check. I said, for what? I said, for you did the Deadpool annual, right? I said, yeah, you should be in the check for that. I said, oh, okay. And it came in the mail. I said, yeah, it was nice. It was nice. But so that's a little bit of my history. But I took then like from like 2000 to 2011, I didn't do any mainstream comics. I was doing most of the storyboards and doing my own stuff, get my own stuff together to put out. So I was doing most of the storyboards for commercials and advertising.
Okay.
Doing colors and marker and something. I got into the Photoshop coloring a little later on, but then I got back into comics with a book called Vampire Huntress for Dynamite Comics, and that was written by the late L.A. Banks, who was a romance novel writer, but she wrote a novel series called The Vampire Huntress, a 12 book novel series, and that was later adapted into a limited comic book series. I just did one issue. I wish I did more of it, but the series she did was phenomenal.
Yeah,
it was it just centered Black folks in a way that I really never seen up to that point. We were superheroes, and it melded superheroes culture and the vampire lore in such a seamless way.
Yeah.
And it was very, very, very compelling. Very more than compelling. It was a very phenomenal story she told in that series, and that the comic book limited series that came out continued that story for a little bit. And I did the 4th issue of that comic book limited series.
Okay.
And she left us too soon in 2011 from cancer, and I was able to work with her again. But yeah, that was my foray back into mainstream comics. So later on, I did Voltron for Dynamite in 2012, 2013, and then I was asked to do an issue of Watch the Holmes that came out that was coming out, that was already out. I did issue, and that issue in that series up to that point was nominated for 2 Eisner Awards for Best Series and Best Single Issue. Now, my issue I did was nominated for Best Single Issue.
Okay.
And that's what this board is at the
nice.
Watch the Holmes.
Okay.
That's a cover for that issue. But yeah, so that's a little bit of my history in comics.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it sort of takes me back to to the days that I sort of first got introduced to comics, right? Because the Deadpool annual, just the random books that that Dark Horse will just come out with, all those things, because I'm in Portland, and so
okay.
One of my Dark Horse is just big up here because it's down the street,
right? Yeah,
and also
because they're in Milwaukee, Portland, right?
Yeah, and so I one of my mentors is Mike Richardson, and so I'll definitely next time I talk to him, I'll definitely be like, hey, you remember this guy that did this for you?
Wow, because I don't know because that was back when I did that Dark Horse book. I approached that so wrong. It was 3 8-page stories, and I overestimated my abilities. I thought I could do 2 pages a day, and I was doing that. No, I wasn't doing that, not yet, but I was. I thought I could do that, and so I left instead of using the entire month to do the 8 pages each month, I'll wait till the last 10 days of the month and be scrambling the last couple of days to get the stuff ready to go to FedEx and ship it out. So it was 8 pages. I was working a job. I was working at Barnes Noble at the time. So it was so doable if I just was thinking smart, because my general work was looked better than that work I put out for that at that time.
Yeah,
and I just didn't give myself a fair shot at it, and so it was I said 8 pages a month I had to do. So I did 3 stories. And they appeared in Dark Horse Comics, not Dark Horse Presents, but Dark Horse Comics, which was their other anthology book, and that appeared with another story, with a James Bond story that drawn by the late John Watkiss, who had a great brush stroke. He would do a lot of brush. I think his lot of art was he inked himself with a brush, and he had a really nice brush stroke for his work. But anyway, that's one thing I would like to do again. I would tell if I could do something again, I would like to do that over again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's it just be like that sometimes, right? You take on projects and you sort of test yourself, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, and that's just the the blessing and the curse of being a creator.
Yeah.
And so, I sort of had this pretty recently over the past year. I've gotten into the augmented reality space, and so exploring animation and integrating animation and technology into my comic books and my graphic novels. And it's been really interesting, but to that point, it's you hurry up and try to get something out, and then when it drops, you're like, dang, I could have did this, I could have did that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's you know,
But getting it out is important, and then
yeah,
learning from your mistakes, or learning what you can add into your next story is all part of growth and respecting the process.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So, I mean, I have a story out now. I would never want to start it over again because I know stuff now. I would just want to continue it,
yeah,
and then you can see the growth in that story with my art and the storytelling. So it's just it's just something. Because I mean, I've always appreciated seeing an artist's growth when I was coming up and seeing their work from the first issue to the sixth issue or the 10th issue, or what they were doing like years before, and they wouldn't be where they are now if it wasn't for what happened like in the past.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that is true. To that
Mm-hmm.
point, I was like, this, like my webcomic that I've been working on since 2015, 2016. It's like,
Uh,
I kind of want to go back and do some stuff over again. But then I have, like, like you're still a creator, so like you have this like list
yeah,
of things that you want to do with it that you just haven't gotten
yeah,
to,
yeah,
and so it's like I feel like I'm
yeah,
shooting myself in the foot by like trying to go back and like retcon some stuff.
yeah. Don't go back. Yeah, don't go back.
And
I got a story out that I haven't put anything out since 2010. I put like 2 issues out in 2010, up to 2010, and I want to get back to it. I want to get back to it, but I've just been so busy.
yeah,
I can't say I've been busy for 10 years. There's been times where I've had a couple of years, like 2015 and 2016, were kind of lean. But it's like uh, either I'm busy working or I'm busy trying to find work.
yeah,
And so, and then maybe the first month or so after I finish a job, I could probably get into something
hmm,
like my own stuff. But if it goes too long, I'm stressed out,
yeah,
and I gotta find something. I gotta pay this rent. I gotta pay these bills.
yeah,
Stuff's coming up, and I can't. And I really can't. I really can't get my head in space. I'll probably get my head in space, like I said, soon after I'm off a project, and I can get on there, and it may help the stress levels. But if the stress levels go on too far, it's like, okay, I gotta really get busy. Getting busy. I really gotta get busy to get busy.
yeah, yeah. It's just, I think, just having that peace of mind to just be like,
Hmm.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm good for a couple of months. Let me just like,
And I was good. It was good when I was doing storyboards for TV commercials, because I was like, it may be intense for about 3 or 4 days to a week, but then those checks would carry me for a couple months,
yeah,
and I could do my comic book stuff, and in that time, and then they may call me again. They may call me again like a few days later or so. So I may make another check that may last me for another couple months. So I'm good I could pay my rent for like 2 3 months for a minute, and just like work on my comic book stuff, and be chilling. But those days haven't come in a long time.
yeah.
And it was good when it happened, but yeah, yeah.
Just things change, and it's just I feel like it's
Hmm.
so volatile, But now, like, I feel like there's more like opportunities emerging, but then you find
Hmm.
yourself having to sort of stay on message boards and stay on Twitter and stay on all these different things to
Mm.
just keep up with the
Hmm.
opportunities and stuff. Uh, Especially with like this whole crypto art thing and NFT thing like blowing up.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Now, what is the NFC thing?
yeah, so the NFT thing is essentially like uh, people buying like people buying your like digital work. And so normally, like,
Okay.
when you're working on a project, you have the stuff.
Uh
And
huh.
then if you have like a client or like a producer or something, you send them the files and then they do something
Hmm.
with it. But essentially with the NFT stuff, it's, you essentially people can buy those files from you. And so there's a market for digital art now, that like
Mm.
people are paying for. Uh and I think the misconception is that like people are just buying pictures that you could
Right.
reproduce, but no, it's like you're actually buying the file, like the source file. And 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 people are paying good money for those source files, you know? Like, because it's
so it's a file with a bunch of stuff in
well,
it.
it's like you have a Photoshop file, right? You'll work on a project in Photoshop, and then you save it, and it's that Photoshop file, right?
Right. Talking about one file with a bunch of layers on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, right.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
that's the original file, right? Like if you lose
Yeah.
that, you lose the whole project, right?
Right. Right.
There's an actual market for people just like selling those files now.
Oh
And so
wow.
that's what the NFT is. It's like the digital art, that file, that Photoshop file has value, not just,
Mm.
not just going to the printer and selling posters of it, but like you could actually
Hmm.
mint that file and sell that file for probably more than what you would sell, like definitely more than what you would sell for a poster or whatever. And so
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it's this whole sort of the NFT thing. I would say like take a look at it just because like I'm pretty sure you got a whole bunch of files on your computer that are just sort of collecting. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. I got a bunch of. Yeah. I do have a few of them.
God forbid
I do.
you find you're able to come up with a file for like a test like a test sketch of the Deadpool annual. Then like that's some stuff that would that's some stuff that would go for you could sell
Yeah.
that mess for a pretty penny. Like it.
Yeah. It's not a file. That's before I was in
Yeah,
Photoshop.
I mean, hey.
That's pre Photoshop for me.
But yeah, like it's um yeah, it's like there's a lot more stuff that creators, can
Hmm.
do now. And but you gotta educate yourself on it, and you gotta sort of read up on it
Yeah.
and all that, which takes some extra time and bandwidth.
Yeah.
So it's it is what it is, right? Like
Hmm.
but but yeah, it's what projects do you have going on right now?
Well, there's the DC project I told you about. I'm
Yep.
doing right now. I'm trying to wrap that up to today or tomorrow. I'm doing a book. The ongoing project I was telling you was the book called Indigo Clan.
Okay.
I'm working on as an independent project. I'm working on with a guy who created it. He's on the West Coast. He's in California,
Hmm.
and the book is about I call it a martial arts uh sci-fi fantasy. No, I call it martial arts. It's a martial arts adventure.
Okay.
Uh, some fantastical stuff, some sci-fi stuff in it. It features 5 young people centering around a young teen girl from Oakland, California, with these powers and abilities to fight an ancient evil.
Okay.
So it uses mysticism, ancient cultures, traditional cultures, and they go on a trip around the world. Well, so far they're on all the trips they've been on have been in the Western Hemisphere. That of the books I've been working on so far. I'm about to start book 5, right? I'm about to start book 5 soon, and I've done 3 issues. I started with issue 2. Another artist did issue 1, so I've done issues 2, 3, 4. About to start issue 5, and it's intense, dense, as far as, like I said, the subject matter with the. I mean, it's dense as far as drawing it, because there's a lot of stuff to draw. I'm not only drawing these 5+ figures. I'm not only drawing these 5+ characters. I'm drawing the bad guys. I'm drawing these symbols, these uh, ancient symbols and concepts, and a whole bunch of what's the word I'm looking for? Motifs on these pages too. So it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's in the book's like 32 pages.
Ooh.
Each book is like 32
Oh
pages
wow.
long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a little chunky right there.
Yeah. 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 It's
yeah, like because I guess most people don't realize that like most comic books that you'll see that come out on a monthly basis are like 22 pages. It's
yeah.
you know
22, 20. Yeah. Between 20 and 24 pages there about. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot.
yeah, and
But yeah, so I'm doing that, and then I'm gonna do a 10 page of of a royalty-free character called Octobriana, and it's a character that was created in the 70s. It's a very Cold War specific type of character, and do you know Billy Idol?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The 80s pop star.
Yep.
He has a tattoo of her on his shoulder, and the late David Bowie wanted to do a movie featuring her, and she's like a anti-Leninist character that is like a Barbarella type, but not as fantastic. But she's a sexy woman going around beating up bad guys, so to speak. And featured in there is another royalty-free character, is a character from, I think, Eastern European lore called the Baba something, a witch.
Oh, the Babadook.
Babadook, is it Babadook
or Baba Yaga?
Baba Yaga, yeah. Baba Yaga, yes. And so I hear Baba, I'm thinking West African, right? Yeah. but Bob is she's European, but she's not the old hag that's in the lore. She's a beautiful woman that's fashionable.
Okay.
So, but she's a trickster or mischievous type of character. But they have to team up to fight this other person, and I'm drawing that. It's 10 pages. I'll be doing. They're going to do it. The people are going to do a Kickstarter for it, I think, in June. So I got to have 10 pages done for them, like in by I think May.
Okay.
May or April. So yeah. So those are two projects I'm working. Those are three projects I'm working on. So
nice. Yeah. I mean, it's. I think it's just I love the day and age that, like, people just sort of have ideas and then they sort of jumpstart a little bit with the little bit of money that they have, and then they just put it on Kickstarter and try to sort of pitch it to the world rather than
that's Kickstarter, Indiegogo, crowdfunding in general has freed up a lot of people to do things, because back in the day, the game was Marvel and DC, and I wanted to branch out of that. So me branching out of that was doing storyboards, because I mean it's Marvel and DC. At that time, it's still they will break your heart if you're in the mode of I want to be working for Marvel DC. More likely you get your heart broken, or you'll be starving, or a combination of both. And if your head is wrapped up in that, if your self-worth is wrapped up in that, you could you may think you are a bad artist or not worthy, and that's far. That happened to an artist a very, very famous artist that you probably might know. He almost took himself out because he wasn't getting the love from these companies. But he was popular in that time. He has a popular, a well-known IP. And like about 10 years ago, he was like thinking about doing that, taking himself out because he wasn't getting the love he thought he should get.
Yeah.
And but so I was like in the late 90s and early 2000s, I had to branch out because I wasn't getting as much work as I needed to, and I didn't want to have to get a job to supplement to live if I was in not have comic book work. I didn't want to. I mean, I had to every now and then. One time I got a job at a soup restaurant when hot soup was popular in late 90s, early 2000s. I was working at a place called Daily Soup for a few months, and then that was before I got the Deadpool job. But yeah, it was but now that we have more comic book companies, you have Kickstarter. We could do your own thing and put it out there and have people look at, and people decide whether they want to support you or not. Yeah. Is a whole other way. There are much more sources out there and opportunities for a creator to do their own thing.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's, it's, I mean, you get to sort of put your stuff out there and just leave it to the open market, right? If you got some eyes, then the eyes can sort of just see it. Like if you got some good stuff, people will want it. Like that's ultimately what it comes down to.
And if Kickstarter's not, you could fund it yourself. I mean, it's going to be expensive, but with printing and whatnot. But either way, you can't do. I mean, it's more challenging to do it without going to conventions.
Yeah.
Because you do it on, you can do the online thing, but a lot of people want to see the artists themselves.
Yeah.
And if you're a writer, it's still hard because you got to rely on the artist to get your vision out there.
Yeah.
And you got to pay an artist, and some artists will flake on you or disappear on you, and you got to find another one. You got to spend more money, I feel for writers that are trying that don't know how to draw or that don't draw, and we need to hire artists to be out there to have the vision come to life.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm pretty good friends with David Walker, and
and
because he's he's in Portland. Brian Michael Bendis is in Portland,
right.
Fraction, Kelly Sue, Portland's kind of where it's at right now. And
I lost my Eisner Award to Matt Fraction, so I got to have a talk with him.
Yeah, but it's David's a writer, and so but he's pushing it. He's pushing out a whole bunch of different work, and so he's navigating. He's just telling me how he's navigating just having to work with different artists, and some artists that work great, and some artists that don't, and sort of the frustrations because he doesn't draw his books. He just writes it. And and for me, it's I like to write, but I like to draw, and so I just sort of play with both of those. And and so it's that's never really something that I have to worry about. If I can't figure out how to write it, then I just draw it myself, right? It's
right.
If I like an artist, then I'll probably want to work with an artist, but it's not because I need to. And so, I've, in a visual medium, I just feel for, I don't know, that's for artists for artists, I feel like it sort of, it's easy to navigate that because you just
because we can do a story, a serviceable story, depending on the artist's mindset. They could do it. I mean, I'm not gonna say they can just be a writer without some research or some training or some learning.
Yeah.
But we could put together some images that'll get us through a couple issues.
Whether it would be a bestseller, that's another story.
Yeah, that's another thing. Whether the story will be meandering or just not coherent, we may be able to fool a couple people for a couple months or a couple of installments. But that's the privilege of the artist, so to speak, I guess you want to say. But as far as David Walker, him and I have just been missing each other in a couple of projects because we had a couple of times we wanted to work together, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah. It's and then just now, there's just so many moving parts in the industry. Just with just a whole bunch of different things, and so. Because I've been wanting to, there's just a list of people that I want to work with, but I just got into medical school, so that won't be happening. And so it's
that's gonna take up about 8 years, right?
Yeah, I mean it's 4 years of medical school, and then 2 years of residency, and then another years and some change for fellowship and stuff like that. So I think I'll have to just make those plans for 2030 because this mess ain't gonna work.
I remember someone I know someone that would compare learning to do comics as a process of being the track of a medicine school, going to school for a doctor, because it's going to take more than 4 years for you to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to, because as far as especially storytelling, because storytelling is not the easiest thing to learn.
Yeah, no, it's and even when you figure it out, you still have a lot to learn. It's
because for one thing, as a comic book artist, we're at some point we got to draw everything.
Yeah,
and whether it's a kitchen or a studio or a living room or out in space or in the streets, cars, anything and everything at any given time. And then you got to learn how to make it make sense and be consistent throughout 24 pages at least. Or at least 10 pages, however long the story. I'm not going to say 20 pages, but 5, 6, 10, 20 pages plus. And so yeah, and it's the learning process of that is quite intense. Not intense, but it's just a long haul.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And hey, like it is what it is sometimes, but
yeah,
but
it's not just drawing in boxes.
no, right? You can start with box, but that mess cannot finish with
Yeah.
box, you know. But yeah, like I really appreciate, just like taking the time to hop on the podcast and everything. For you, or I guess, for you as a Black creator, like what is something that like you would say to those that are like looking to get into comics or looking to get into storyboarding or any sort of visual medium, or just sort of break into the industry that often has ran into those sort of DC and Marvel pitfalls or realities.
All right, as a Black creator, if you have a vision, especially if it's a comic book or if you want to do an animation, don't feel the need to mitigate your Blackness. If you have a story that you want to tell us rooted in Blackness or Africanness or your culture, do it. Don't because I mean back in the day. Again, I'm gonna say back in the day, we know a lot of Black creators I knew were like taken low. Taken low is a term meaning don't be too Black. You have some white characters in your book. You can't be too many Black people because we were just trying to cater to an industry that was scared of Blackness, and now you don't have to be. You can just do your full thing, and you have people that want to support it, want to do it. So as far as breaking into it, you gotta put yourself out there, and putting yourself out there for me 30 years ago was like doing samples and mailing them out to editors. Putting yourself out there now is being on social media, being online, going to conventions. Going conventions was always a part of that. When I was younger, it was going to conventions, talking to editors, talking to artists, getting critiques on my work, to have them see what I do and give me some pointers of what to do. Building relationships, building connections with creators in comics, whether they're editors, writers, other artists, or anyone in comics books. So the key is to get yourself out, do the work and get yourself out there. Do the work meaning do your writing, do your drawing, do your research in a story, research in what you have to draw, research in who you have to know, and research how to navigate into these spaces. And once you're in these spaces, to maintain it, you gotta be professional. You gotta be on time. You gotta be professional. Being professional means being on time, being accountable. If you're not able to be on time, let them know ahead of time that you can't be on. That you're gonna be late for this deadline. If you get a little more time, if you get a project, if you have projects going on right at the moment, like I did a few months ago, and someone comes to you with another project, let them know I can do it. However, I'm doing something right now. Do you have time? Can you wait a couple months? Can you wait X amount of time for you to get onto it? Don't take anything on while you're doing something at the moment, because then you'll be stressing yourself, and it's not good for your health.
Yeah.
You don't want anything that's not good for your health.
Yeah, that is.
So
man,
let people know ahead of time.
And I think that can't be understated because when you're sort of freelancing and you have control over everything, you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm popping. I got this, and this, and that.
I mean, I've gotten slower. I've gotten slower. I mean, there was a time where I was doing 8 pages a week, but the last 2 pages were garbage.
Yeah.
But that was the last 2 pages. I mean, and I wasn't as good as I became 10 years after that. So then I was doing then when I got my first regular book or monthly book at DC, I was doing 4 or 5 pages a week, and that was doable at the time. I mean, I was working every day, maybe taking 1 day off.
Yeah.
And I was doing each page consistently. So, but now I'm doing if I'm doing something, I'll say I'll do maybe 3 to 4 pages a week.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm putting more in the pages now. As my skill level's gone up, I've had to pull back my output a little bit because my work's become more developed. and my thought process has become more thought out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely good that's definitely good to hear. Taking a step back or pacing yourself a little bit more to provide more quality and care into the work is that you can't be mad at that, right? Like it's that that it produces work that is a lot more has more value, right? Like there's no more value on the page,
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
and so and I think that just sort of makes it even better, especially for in this age where we're sort of in the generation where we are saying that like black stories or black creators have value in the space, and actually being able to show that on the page and have it stand on its own 2 feet. I think that's just powerful.
Yeah, it is. Like we'll take it back to L.A. Banks for a minute. When I was reading her book, I was like getting all teary eyed because it's not because it was having some mushy type of scene, but it was just showing us as who we are wherever we are, whether it's us in the north or whether it's us in the south of the north of the United States, or whether it's us in Brazil, or whether it's us on the continent in East Africa or West Africa. Just us showing up as who we are, using our culture to save the world. Using our culture to save the world. Usually we see our culture being used as a demonic thing, like if we see voodoo being used as a demonic source. Yeah. Or some African traditional religion or traditional African traditional spiritual modality being used as a demonic source. And now we see it being used. Now I've seen this book being used as something to save the world. When I first saw it on TV was on remember the TV show Sleepy Hollow?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, when the two sisters use they call their mother tongue to beat back a demon. I was like, I'm seeing African culture being used to save the world here. This is awesome.
Yeah. It's not taking little puppets and sticking pins in it and hurting.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, no zombie nonsense. It's being used by two super characters to save the world. And that was awesome to me. Yeah. So that's what I've always wanted to do since 20, 30 years ago. I've always wanted to draw black characters going back before then, but I just didn't know how to write. So now when I joined the studio, this guy named Gray helped me come up with a formula to write, and then I did my own story. And he helped me more than that, though. But with some business how to navigate the business industry. And I was already a professional at the time, but he helped me with more stuff in the industry. But yeah, this is the time to show yourself out, show yourself who you are, and do it unapologetically.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like that. Just be you. Just put your stuff out there.
Yeah. There'll still be some pushback because there's knuckleheads out there, but you'll have more back this time.
Yeah, like it's
you have more people coming to your back this time.
and that's ultimately, there's always consequences to things, but if you're doing things for the right reasons, if your stuff is hot, then people will have nothing, no other option but to respect it and give it the attention it deserves. And so but you gotta grit your teeth sometimes, and you just gotta ride that storm.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the other book I did that was a creator owned Ajala. This is this right here is Ajala. It's my co-creator owned with a partner who he passed away 2 years ago, so we haven't been able to continue it. But this is about a young teen in Harlem who was trying to who found her parents were once part of a secret organization she was to join, and so we follow her training. As we follow her training, we learn more about her and her family and the organization, and how she wants to protect the community, and how they protect the community, and how she's part of that organization to protect the community. And it was like I said, it was taking place in Harlem. We did 4 issues of it. And we were starting the next story arc, but like I said, he passed away before we can get it started or get it. We actually got it started, but like I said, was almost we almost completed a full issue. But it was like the beginning of the next story arc. So so we weren't able to finish it.
Yeah.
But that was one thing that we created, and I have another book called Brotherhood of the Fringe that I created. That's on me. That's all me. But that's the one I was telling you. But I haven't put anything out new since 2010. And so I gotta. Like I said, the third book is like all drawn out. It's like maybe a quarter colored, but I gotta finish coloring it and letter it, and I want to do several more issues, or a few more issues of it. But yeah, it's about getting to it.
Yeah, it's
and being able to sustain myself while I do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sustainability, right? Like being able to make it sustainable. But yeah, man. Hey, like it's been a good time just like chatting with you, learning a lot about your work, the history, and the stuff that you've been doing.
Man, it's been fun over here too,
and really appreciate it. If where can people find you at?
I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram at nstephenharris. Same with Twitter at nstephenharris. Facebook and my website is www.nstephenworks.com. Now to young creators, when you see my website, don't. This is where you don't want to follow my examples. I have too much work on there, and I need to pare it down. I went a little crazy, and I know better. So I do know better. I gotta take the time one time and just organize it better. But it is organized, but this is like a lot of stuff up there.
Yeah.
But I definitely categorize the comics, independent comics, mainstream comics, and illustrations and storyboards. So this is a lot. This is a lot in each category, though.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I need to learn how to parse things down. I create too much stuff, and I'm indecisive, and so I just be like, I just want people to see. They need to see it.
Because a young artist. I was talking at a friend's class. And they said, "Well, we were told just to put some stuff on it. You have a lot of stuff on it." I said, "Yes, you're right, and I'm gonna kick you behind to call me out on that." But yeah.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So, what does the N mean?
It's my first name. Is Norwood.
Okay. I was like,
that's my. It's a name of my father, but I use N. Stephen Harris for publishing purposes. It just has a nice ring to it, and it helps people remember the name too.
Okay, I got you. And so, a little fun fact. And so, I really appreciate the time. Appreciate you doing the work that you do, obviously, because I
no
like
problem.
Deadpool, so I really appreciate your contributions to the Deadpool lore, and just look forward to continuing following your work, and hopefully back some Kickstarter projects that you're a part of, and all that different good stuff, and just keep making some great stuff.
All right, we'll do.
Yep. So after that, we'll call it a wraps. And there we have it. That is another episode of the Black Superheroes Matter podcast in the wraps. Again, the purpose of this podcast is for people to get exposed to a variety of different things that Black people are creating in the arts and entertainment industry. The goal is for this podcast to bring light to all those and those creators, because as a community, we have the opportunity to skirt some of the problems that we've seen in this day and age when it comes to expressing Blackness. And so if you love this, definitely check out the more work that we're doing. Go to @Black Superheroes Matter, or you can go to blacksuperheroesmatter.com to check out the blog and the write-ups that we do on these guests. And if you're so inclined, feel free to support my work at Iltopia, where we have the Black Superheroes Matter art book, the Black Superheroes Matter sticker packs, and even coloring books, activity guides. And so if you want to check that stuff out, check it out at shop.iltopia.com. It's all Black owned. I might add, they're all handmade products, and they're all made with love for the community that has really given me the opportunity to find my place in this world. And so, again, thank you for another wonderful episode. Thank you for listening. Feel free to follow all the stuff that Black Superheroes Matter is cranking out. and excited to share another wonderful guest with you on next episode. So without further ado, thank you very much.